back to the Welcome Table with Sydney
and Tatum.
And today we are joined by Assistant Vice Chancellor of Alumni Relations and Constituent Engagement, Erika Jordan. How are you doing today?
Good. Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you as well. Jordan serves as the Chief of, like I said, Alumni Relations and Engagement, and she plays a key role in providing leadership and strategic guidance to a multitude of associations, alumni relations, the health advancement pipeline. So yes, we're so happy to be able to talk to you, get to know you, and more. So yes, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And then before we get started, we usually do a little icebreaker in the form of like a show and tell. And this week we will go first. So I brought a little poster here.
Wow.
I am a big fan of Diana Ross. And this is one of my favorite. Yes, this is one of my favorite movies, Lady Sings the Blues.
Tatum, you're so cool.
It's a movie about one of my other favorite musicians, Billie Holiday. So movie just came out about her, and then also Diana Ross is a queen. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring that.
It's a great one.
Yeah. What did you bring?
I love that.
So I brought a book, Tribal Mentors, and I chose this book because, for me, I feel like mentors have been a strong part of my life from when I was young, and I still hold true now. I always am looking for mentors. I feel like even in situations like this where, I'm gonna learn something from you guys today, and I hope you guys learn something from me. It's, kind of a micro mentors. And I just feel like someone kind of wrote a book about some great interactions with mentors. And I thought, it'd be kind of a fun tone to set for our day to day.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Of course.
So yeah, let's just jump right into getting to know a little bit more about you. Tell us about some of your passions. We understand you have a background in politics and frontline fundraising. So tell us some more about your personal or professional interests.
Sure. So, I really started my career I started in politics kind of not knowing that was going to happen. When I graduated from Howard, I had a psychology degree, had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I was going to go to grad school, and I was able to connect with someone who's looking to run for state assembly and for the California. And my mom was like, you need to do this. It's a great opportunity. You also need a job. And I just fell in love with it, and I think fundamentally, I started as her assistant through the campaign. And what I fundamentally learned was just really, how to navigate people and how to understand what people's intentions are versus, sometimes you have to listen for them, right? Like people always don't say what they mean. And so that was a really great experience at a very young age to understand what, what the world of politics was like, but how to translate that into my future career. I knew that was not my career path as well. And so I moved into doing event planning and worked for nonprofits. And I think, I've just been a Girl Scout for life. And, I was a Girl Scout like all my years kind of coming up. And I would say that's kind of who I am. It's the person who's loved serving others. And so, as I moved through, I was working at USC for some years doing fundraising and alumni relations. And when I got recruited to come to UCI, I, over time was able to join the alumni relations team. And that's where really my passion is connecting people, is talking about shared experiences and really figuring out how we can all rise together. I think, university campuses are just a wealth of opportunities and experiences. We're all growing, we're all continuously learning and connecting with each other. And as alums, we hope that, as you two become alums, and on the rest of the community, that we continue to keep that connection together. And so I think my big connection or my big passion is connection. And outside of that, the more the fun stuff, I love food and wine.
Oh, nice.
I love learning about it and different cultures and travel. I think, travel just makes all of us so much richer and understanding cultures and how we all operate.
Where's the best place you've traveled to so far?
Ooh, great question. I am always split between Cuba. So I was able to go to Cuba right before you couldn't go to Cuba. And I took a trip with about, I think it was like 30 people, and we were able to travel around and really be immersed in the culture. And oh my gosh, just the Cuban people are, they're just brilliant. They're smart. The way they organize their world is just, there's a lot to learn from there. And I think often we don't talk about, all the good that happens in Cuba. The other side was Costa Rica. And Costa Rica, the people are just, again, fabulous people. It's beautiful there. The weather, water, just everything. I can't speak enough about just kind of the feeling you get when you're in Costa Rica. So.
Awesome.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I've never been to either of those places. Sadly, I have not traveled a lot, but if I were, like, I could definitely see like the beauty and like the cultural richness that could be learned from those places. So
yeah. Well, it took me a while to get started too, but once you get the bug, it's like it's really hard to stay away.
Right.
No, that's going on the bucket list for sure. Both of those places. Yeah. So speaking of like unity and then campus culture and alumni, so you mentioned that you went to Howard for your undergrad, which is one of the most prestigious all Black universities. And then you also transitioned to USC for your master's. What was that transition like? And how did you adjust like culturally and environmentally?
Sure. So, Howard, I'm from Los Angeles. I'm a Los Angeles girl.
Yes.
Had a very diverse experience, right? Los Angeles, you get kind of a melting pot. You get a little bit of everyone. So, blessed and fortunate in that way. Howard was, I think, one of the most rich experiences I could have ever had. It really just, people I think have a misconception about HBCUs in general, that it's just a bunch of, Black students just going to school together and it's kind of homogeneous. And then really it's not. I mean, there's people from Minnesota, there's people from Africa, there's people from the Caribbean, and all of us bring something unique and different. So it was such an awesome experience. And then of course the education was, amazing. And I think transitioning out of that, I thought I was going to quickly go back to grad school, but I couldn't just I never got my finger on the pulse of what I exactly wanted that to be. And so it took me probably like over 10 years to go back to grad school. And so I think that helped me transition into grad school. And really, for me, going back and getting my master's in leadership, I knew that at that point, it was really about connections and really helping myself professionally. And so I kind of went in with a different mindset, right? Undergrad, you'll find that undergrad and grad school can be similar in like you're building relationships, but it's less about the kind of day-to-day connections you want to make and kind of having those clubs and organizations, more so about that kind of cohort and like higher level network. So, I think I was just able to see people a little differently. I knew what my goals and intentions were at USC, and I kind of changed, was a little, so I think I have, deeper love for Howard in one way. And then I think I have a deeper appreciation for USC in another, because I kind of approached them a little differently. But I would say kind of culturally, as a Black woman, I think, both of them offered me rich experiences. I think, just being able to know how to navigate, both is important. And so I'm glad I had both experiences.
Can we talk a little bit more about your career, like interests, and how those shifted over the years as you went from, like you said, Howard and to USC, going back to grad school and finding those interests, and tell us how those led to your current role as Assistant Vice Chancellor of Alumni Relations? Sure.
So I think, I would say my story is really about building. And I think, oftentimes we think of ourselves as like needing to know the answer right away. And, I'm always so envious of people who really know what they want to do out the gate. And it's, because often I think that's not always, the direction that most of us have. And we often, I think, get a little mired down and, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I don't think I was ever that, I don't know what I want to do, but I knew I loved people. And I just needed to figure out where I needed to land to really enjoy my career. And so politics was a great start, really kind of engaging with people, but a little too much in the weeds for me on politics. Wasn't a thing, but the nonprofit space has so many great organizations that you can serve. And so I went to a nonprofit that was serving disadvantaged youth in South LA. And I was doing their events and helping to fundraise, and just being able to see, these students' faces at the end of the year when we're providing them scholarships and doing mentorship programs. It really started to click to me that, I didn't necessarily want to work on the program side of things. I really enjoyed, doing events. I think they're fun, and, I love being creative in that space. But at the same time, I knew that what was also resonating with me was making those connections and fundraising to provide access to people who are doing the programs. And I don't think fundraising and alumni relations is a career that many people even know about until you stumble into it, like most of us do later, kind of as you build your career. And I hope that over time, especially people of color, will find more opportunity in that space, because I think it's such a great way to give back in a way that often we don't think about that being the same as being the program coordinator of a great nonprofit. The fundraiser is just as important. And then, so, getting back on track, after I left the nonprofit and went to USC, that was kind of a series of building as well. I started as an event planner there. I was just being me and being super talkative and chatty. And there was a leader on the team who noticed my ability just to talk about our programs very naturally, and that I didn't hold back and I didn't stay in my shell of like, well, I'm just the event planner in the back. I'm out there just talking and again, being me. And she was like, you should try, we're going to put you in this role. We're going to try you out. And that was kind of a junior level fundraiser. And she goes, keep doing what you're doing. I'll give you all the training you need. And she really did. She mentored me and really supported my growth. And it was kind of like a natural place for me to be. And I was able to bring that like logistical skill set that I had from event planning into understanding how to work with boards and navigate people who are, very high level and, knowing that, it always, in business school, the people in the suits can be kind of intimidating. And I knew that as a Black woman, I needed to kind of own who I was and, just be me. And I think that really has been a great way for me to kind of find success. And then from there, I was promoted to the director of the program. And then very luckily, UCI called me and asked what I consider my position at UCI. And UCI has been one of the best decisions I've ever made was to come to UCI. The campus culture and just the opportunity that's been there. Chancellor Gilman has been someone that I think, truly understands how to serve every constituent on, that serves on our campus or, students to alums to our faculty and staff. And that's kind of where I've really thrived. I've really thrived in this community and have just gotten more opportunities to continue that career trajectory in the same way of simply just building and doing the hard work. I'm a huge fan of if you do the work, sometimes you don't always get rewarded as you may think you should get rewarded, but sticking it out, there's been times I'm just like, how am I not the one making, this amount of money? Or how am I not, the one getting this? And then I sit back and then a year passes and you're like, oh, I've lapped that person. And you just don't realize, just keep doing the work. That's kind of been my kind of personal thing. Just keep doing the work, be true to yourself, and you will always, reach those higher heights. And you get opportunities that you never thought of. I really also, kind of in the same way, the mentors and the networking, people will start to hand you stuff, and things that you don't necessarily think you're worthy of until you, kind of just step into it and realize there's always people kind of under you that are going to support you and hold you up, even if that seems scary. But I definitely say, it's easy to think you want to have it all figured out, but, let life kind of in some ways surprise you.
Yeah, things just kind of just happen, it's really funny, but it's nice. It's kind of nice not to like go on the beaten path, I guess. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that leads us to our next question. You kind of answered a lot of it, but we wanted to know, how has your interest in fundraising changed with your experience with UCI?
So I would say that it's diversified, was what I'll say. I think I still have a love for it, passion for it. When I was at USC, I did a lot more fundraising, and in my current role, it just doesn't allow for me to have the time to do as much of it as I once was able to do, but that's fine because I feel like I'm now able to coaching than I used to do. And so I have a team of fundraisers under me, and really being able to help them navigate what they're doing is kind of very rewarding. And so kind of going back to, I guess, the book, being able to mentor is where I'm more in that space now. And I also feel like there's a lot of educating of our community. The UCI community, half of our alums and half of our students are first generation. Half of them come from, families that may not understand philanthropy in a way that, some families that are kind of raised in that and have a long history of that would. I'm a first generation student myself. I know my parents are very philanthropic to our, the church, or, that's kind of a path. And I think it's about education. And for me, UCI has really opened me up to understanding that, philanthropy looks different for different people. The Black Alumni chapter has been an amazing place for me to kind of see the power of, and all of our chapters, honestly, every one of our alumni chapters is taken such a strong approach towards ensuring our students have book scholarships. And so kind of really helping that culture come along. And I would say my final piece of that is Giving Day. Giving Day is like my baby. I started in 2017 at UCI. And what I love about Giving Day is that it allows the entire UCI community, no matter where you sit in that, your students, all of the parents, friends, alums, everyone can give $20 that day and or whatever they can give. And it just makes a huge impact on very small areas of campus that normally wouldn't get an opportunity to fundraise, all the way up to the big areas like the schools and the deans. And so I think it's one of those really cool ways of, building culture and community together. And so I think that's what's kind of expanded is that kind of like group share and like crowdsourcing of money to help all of us rise together.
I definitely would say that you're a leader. Like I see it in your voice and how you take charge and just in your fundraising efforts and your work with alumni relations. So how would you describe your leadership style? Like if you could.
Sure. I would say that I just really try to be genuine. I'm a people person, and so for me, every unique person on my team, I hope understands that I'm there for them, no matter what rank. I think, oftentimes people rise and then they kind of have their leadership team. I have that team and I hold really true to them as well. But everyone on my team knows I have an open door and I'm always willing to mentor them, to talk to them through challenging times, just have a cup of coffee and, each other, because often it's that kind of this, my feeling is that the office, we kind of could be serious, but let's go have fun. I'm a fun leader and I also love celebrating the small wins and the big wins. I think, oftentimes we're looking to celebrate that big giant victory at the end of a race or, a project. And we forget about those little things that, we might not have thought we could even get to that place. So why don't we celebrate those things along the way? And so very much into celebrating each other, communicating. I'm very open communicator with my team. I think as much as I can impart my knowledge and my understanding of why I'm doing something, hopefully it helps them understand why we're getting to the end game. And so I would say that's pretty much, kind of how I lead. I try to be authentic and really kind of lead with my heart and people first.
What are some of your favorite projects that you've led so far?
Yeah, so I mentioned Giving Day before. Another one that was kind of campus-wide was the Big Ideas Challenge. And that one was before we launched the Brilliant Future campaign at the university. It was my understanding that the last campaign that UCI had, the campus community really didn't know about it. It was very much, kind of separate and like a lot of big donors to it, which is great. I mean, it was a great campaign. But, my boss really wanted to help the campus community all rally into it. And so I proposed the idea of us doing this Big Ideas Challenge, which solicited ideas from all across the campus, and anyone, student, our faculty, staff, anyone could say, this is what I think UCI should make a priority at the university and we should fundraise for in the next campaign. We got ideas everywhere from like classes that people thought, and there were like some hysterical things that people submitted, all the way to people saying we should have a school of dentistry and, we should focus more on AI. We should, have a center for first generation students. There was kind of the whole gamut of ideas came in. And what was really fun was being able to say, like, kind of turn that document over to the chancellor and go, these are all these amazing, like, we kind of cut out some of the crazy stuff. And this is what the campus really would want, and what people, and we had this whole thing where, faculty and we had a committee of alums who helped to judge these projects. And so, kind of gained some traction. People really got into it and wanted to kind of boost people, up and kind of rally behind people. And we ended up having 2 winners of the Big Ideas Challenge, and that had very similar ideas. And so we kind of partnered them together. These 2 departments had no communication with each other, but they were wanting to do the same thing. So being able to, again, make those synergies together, and that's an idea we're trying to fund now in the campaign. And a lot of the other sub ideas that came in, we've, passed to the deans and other areas, and we're hoping that they'll continue to get traction as well. So that was just a big project. And then I would say really growing our parents program and our reunions program has been really something that's meaningful to me. I think my parents were so proud of me and my siblings when we went off to college, and one of us went to school locally in California, so they're able to be on campus a lot more. Me and my sister went away, and so they were proud they didn't have a chance to really connect. And so since we have a lot of students from California, we wanted to make sure we had pathways for their parents to be able to share that campus experience with them and have their own lane. And so our parents team does a lot of work to engage parents. In our reunions program, we didn't have a reunion program for many years at UCI. And like, what a shame to not like bring you guys back in 5 years and then in 10 years to really celebrate and see what you're doing, and you can keep your connections. And so we just had a huge reunion program last, what was it, 2 weeks ago during homecoming weekend. And I think we had about 1,200 reunion alums. About of them were the class of 2020, because we did a 1-year reunion to celebrate that class, which, had a very interesting end to their school year. So just, it's again, I'm all about connections and, just the joy of people. We had a 50-year reunion, and, had about 30 people in the class of, what was it, 71. And, they're just telling these stories about what UCI was like when they were there. And there's like 2 buildings and like farmland, and that's not what we experienced, right? That's like not the UCI we know now. And so that was just really fun to kind of see the progression through all these different classes.
Oh, wow. That is super amazing. Your ideas are so original. You know what I'm saying? Like just having the UCI Giving Day, that's one that I know that is like very like huge on our campus. So I want to give you congratulations for like been so successful like that. That's awesome.
Thank you. It's a team sport for sure. My team's amazing. I can't do this without saying my team. They do an amazing job with making sure it happens so successfully every year.
Yeah, of course. Well, and it just also, it shows you the importance of having like that solid network and like building that good team environment to have success. We also wanted to ask, you've given many sage words of advice during this whole conversation, but what's some more advice you would give someone who's looking to pursue a career in fundraising or in alumni relations, or perhaps a position like the one you have?
Sure. So I would say to a student, I would say both the development side and the alumni relations side, we hire a lot of students as interns all year long. And so if you are somewhat interested, don't even know if you're even halfway interested, look up and apply, or, write into me or anyone on the team and let us know you're interested in being an intern. I'm a firm career. If you want to do something, become an intern. It's such a great way of us learning. Even if that's not your career path, you just, hopefully a good internship will put you in a lot of different spaces. And we, I would say, really pride ourselves on having a very robust internship program within the Alumni Association. And so I would say that's a great pathway in. And then from there, I would say, think about event planning and kind of those event planning, and honestly, just calling your alumni association. They were always looking for people serving in your alumni association, and the nonprofit work honestly was a great way of also getting into it. I think fundraising is a space where, you can do anything from grant writing, which is, very, is a different path than what I do, but it all is kind of all connected and all is helpful. And so I said, look in the nonprofit space and, find a mentor. I'm a firm believer, find a mentor who can connect you in and just try it out. It's not as scary. I think often fundraising, can sound intimidating. Like, I don't want to ask people for money every day. You'd be surprised how many people are, they want to serve and often don't know where to give it or how to give it. And one thing about universities is that we do everything, right? There's all the amazing things under student affairs. There's all the amazing things that are happening at the hospital and all the various areas. And so no matter what someone's interest is, we probably have an area you can support. And so for me, it's just, kind of bringing down the stereotype of it being scary and really making it about, there's a person sitting in front of you who, has said they want to help support. So all you're doing is connecting them to the right place and asking them, for, amount of money that they feel comfortable supporting. And, I think just kind of taking the fear out of it and knowing you're supporting amazing students is enough reason to me to get into the career.
Yeah, that's wonderful and very comforting.
Yeah,
I think for recent graduates and just people in general, it can feel so easy to have imposter syndrome, but knowing that it's not that scary when you really think about it and sit down and do the work, that's very helpful. And we wanted to know actually, are there any future fundraisers or work that you're doing that we could look forward to in the near future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's think. Giving Day is coming up. And so that's a big day coming up. We are in the middle of the Brilliant Future campaign. And so part of that is actually, half the goal is engaging 75,000 alumni in a meaningful way. And so I would say that's a big piece of what we're doing, is just every day trying to get more and more alums to come back and be invested and involved with the university. We With commencement coming up, we'll be getting a lot of alums to, give words of encouragement to our class of 2021 and come out and helping with in any way we can around commencement. And then on the fundraising side, outside of Giving Day, we're kind of coming to the year end. And so we have our student callers who are making year-end phone calls coming up, and a couple of mailers, but we're kind of calming down a little bit in the year. We are kind of our year end, around December is when it kind of gets really busy for us, but with Giving Tuesday and all these other cool campaigns that happen nationwide. And but I'll say the next big one is Giving Day.
Nice. We will look forward to that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We enjoyed tremendously this conversation. I really learned a lot about fundraising. I learned a lot about you and your passions and kind of how things can seem so I don't want to say scary, but seem so daunting, right?
Yeah.
They can seem so daunting, especially when you're heading into your career trajectory, but just take a breath, put in the work, and things will just naturally fall into place. Not in the way that you always expect, but just they will. So thank you for that. I love that.
Yeah, first, thanks for having me. And I wish you two both all the success in your future.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of The Welcome Table, and thank you to Erika Jordan again. We had such a good conversation with her. This has been Tatum
and Sydney, and
we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.